For total transparency, it was a
Sure.
gift. It was a birthday gift a few
Nice.
months back.
Happy delayed birthday.
Um,
Very belated
yeah.
birthday.
Thank you, thank you. Um, so I've been playing since launch 2016, um, and I think I found you around, beginning of Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
And there wasn't tons of I would say like coaching that I was,
Yeah.
really. There was what? There was Jane. There was some
I have
VOD
stocks.
review stuff. Yeah, I
Haze.
wasn't
But yeah,
really
it was
big
pretty
into
few and far between.
awkward. Right. And then Overwatch 2 hit. Everyone started streaming. There's new people. Um, and I think you were the first creator that actually I was like, oh, I feel like I can really actually, and A10, is it?
Yeah, A10
A10 I
has some
also
great
really
stuff at
liked.
the start of Overwatch 2.
Yeah. So you two were big into, I'd say, getting me to like actually start, wanting to look at the game differently and
Sure.
improve.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the short
And,
answer, right?
and you're primarily a tank?
Yes.
Okay.
Overwatch 1, I played a lot of support. It was a Lucio one trick I had a
I see
phase.
that here. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
What pivoted for
And
you?
I don't know. I think I was big in the Reddit Lucio style back
Mm-hmm.
during the DSP stanky days and
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that type of stuff. Um, and I think, if I'm being honest, actually, it was the beginning of Overwatch 2, and one of the big reasons I didn't stick with a lot of Lucio gameplay and I moved on from support role wasn't really the change in what support did in Overwatch 2 versus Overwatch 1 as much as wall riding felt different. Like the new maps sucked to wall
Mm.
ride on, at least at first. Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
the
Okay.
geometry was all weird for a bit. I bet they changed a lot of it, but
Yeah. So
I
whatever.
haven't fully gone back.
One reason leads to another. You're playing tank now.
Right.
Looking at your old tier list here from a couple months. Obviously, if this has changed, let me know. But it's Ryan, Winston, Sigma, Diva, Zarya, Hazard, Orisa.
Take Hazard off that list.
Completely off the
I
list.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing. Let's see, I played this game nonstop, Overwatch 1 till about season 24, took a little break around the
Yeah.
time like Siegel did, till like season 30, came back at the end, played all of Overwatch 2, right? Up until right in December when my friend gave me this session here, and then Rivals dropped, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I actually didn't really go to Rivals. It's not for me. I get why people love it. It's not for me, right? But it meant I had no one to play Overwatch with anymore. So I didn't play all of last season. I like touched Hazard. I was like, I'm gonna love this, and then had no reason to play the game anymore for like all of last season. So a couple of weeks ago, I finally came back.
Makes sense. Okay. I want to become aware of my strengths and weaknesses as well as identify elements of my gameplay that have become autopilot to a point where they could be holding me back and learn how to retake control of them. I mean, that's good because, I mean, you're an old fogey like me, right? You've been around a long time. So that's both a strength and a weakness in the fact that you have very cemented good habits, which is why you're a higher ranked player. But there's probably also some things that you have cemented that are probably worth revisiting and thinking from a different perspective.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of things that are, I resort to my muscle memory, and I
Yep.
might just not pay as much attention during game. It's kind of like auto.
Yeah, I think everybody
Yeah.
does, right? All right, so learn how to be better proactive in situations with poor communication or when teammates are relying on me to make openings instead of becoming better at capitalizing. Become better at capitalizing on openings created by my teammates. All right. Now, talk me through your hero pool. Talk me through why you like these heroes, why they're your favorite, when you play one, when you don't play the other, what has changed over time, why Ryan, why Winston? Is that meta dependent? Does that go up? Does that go down?
I'll tell you the one that has not been meta dependent has been Ryan. I've been
Okay.
a Ryan enjoyer for a long, long time. In fact, he was the only tank that I really loved playing in Overwatch 1. I was flexed, right? Pre
Uh-huh.
roll Q. So I was forced into tank a lot, but Ryan was the only guy I kind of like really enjoyed. So um,
No,
you
no, no.
know,
Take your time. Take your time. Keep going.
yeah, he's changed a lot in Overwatch 2, but some people like it. Some people don't. I personally love how he's changed. I love how he was before, but I love how he is now too. I love the Rat Ryan Cloudy style, where you just kind of go do what you want, get as much attention cross map as you can, and to be a little annoying in the presence.
All right, Winston Sigma Diva. We're kind of
Yeah.
following through that.
So, I mean, I guess in a general sense, I really like for in the case of Winston, I love, you can't always hard engage these days, but I love just going deep, setting up a dive and being a wall
Yeah.
for people to very quickly fill up that space I made.
Sure.
And I
Sure.
calm a lot. So
Sure. Sure. Okay. And how does that go? Like the communication, maybe a side tangent here, but how does that usually go?
I mean, it's Overwatch, right? You don't have people in chat all the time. It's probably like 50-50, but I'm usually the one, when I play with friends or when I'm solo queuing. I'd say even more so when I'm solo queuing, I'm doing like, a lot of planning for next fight,
Sure.
talking about ults, who used what we're gonna do.
Okay. Makes sense. So what's your percentage breakdown of your characters in terms of like how much do you play of Ryan versus Winston versus Sigma versus the other characters just kind of being situational? Like how does that usually break down?
Right. Well, I will say Ryan's consistently, like every season, my highest win rate. I usually sit. I don't play him all the time. I usually play him on friendlier maps, right? Like, I don't always whip out Ryan on like Gibraltar or whatever, even though low-key kind of underrated on Gibraltar. But
Agreed.
I sit at like the usually the 60%, sometimes 70 in a good season. So I feel like I'd say he and Zarya are probably my better tanks. So I might default to them a lot. But I a lot of the time I think of map first, unless I'm actively queuing the game to play a hero.
What are your criteria for map? Like what makes you choose what?
I don't know. I mean, like, give me an example. Like, what do you mean?
Well, Ryan Zarya. Let's start with Ryan Zarya. Like, they both on paper have similar limitations. So, what about the map makes you pick Ryan, and what about the map makes you pick Zarya?
I'll say a lot of the time when it comes to map, I will out of those two, if it's friendly enough for both of them, I will default to the Ryan, and then a lot of the time the Zarya will be the backup swap.
Got it. Okay, so maybe Zarya's less the map situational.
I rarely start on Zarya, unless I check someone's profile and I'm like, oh, they're just, this is like a one trick of it. I need to play Zarya here.
I gotcha. Okay, so then I assume with Winston and Sigma, that's when the map specific stuff really kicks in.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, and those ones are pretty self-explanatory for a player of your caliber. But then I guess, okay, so then we have Hazards kind of ejected out of left field here, but Diva and Orisa are still kind of lurking around. When do you pick those characters? Because I'm even seeing it the sheet you got here, and there's a little Orisa, right? So talk me through that choice in that particular game, and then also just Orisa and Diva in general.
Yeah, I'd say Orisa is also kind of reactionary. I rarely start on Orisa, although
people rarely do.
Right. But I don't think I've never started Orisa on attack, right? That's almost never my strat.
Yeah.
But it's more so if it's say it's second round, and I know the heroes the enemy team likes to play, and we're on defense, right? And I might be like, okay, well, I think I just need to be a wall, and I know if I go Sig, they're gonna just walk past shield, and they know what they're doing. They have comms.
What kind of
then
heroes?
I'll play the wall.
What kind of heroes do you feel like you perform better with the wall? The defensive thing makes sense. She doesn't have a lot of mobility, so that's important. But in what circumstances are you picking Orisa where you wouldn't pick another character?
I'd say, like, for example, let's say there's like a Mei Lucio Rush comp that's kind of been dominating us, stomping us. Really good at separating. That's when I'm usually on the Orisa. A lot of the time I might start Ryan there, and I'd be like, okay, well, no one's like, we have like a Tracer and a Pharah who I'm like, okay, well, they're not going to break Mei wall. So like
Yeah.
that, then I'm kind of on my own, and it's going to keep happening. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I just need to live more.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm probing you a little bit here because you are playing a lot of characters for your goals essentially. You don't care as much about rank, but you just want to kind of take self improvement and clean things up a little bit more. And it is going to be
Totally.
hard to maybe do that if you are playing as much as you are. Now I know the priority is going to be Ryan, but so we're not going to worry too much about it. But if you want my honest opinion, I would probably look to discard at least one of those etc. heroes.
Okay.
But that's going to be really your call because the tricky thing for me is when I'm asking you when you're swapping and when you're using these characters, you're saying all the right things, right? You're saying, oh, what's the map? Okay, Winston Sigma, that kind of goes without saying. But even beyond that, like the situation that you described in which you'd pick an Orisa, defensive, relatively flat map, Mei, Lucio, stuff like that. Yeah, makes sense to me. I think Orisa's pretty good there, right? I don't think she's a great character, but if you were a really good Orisa player, you'd be right at home in that situation. So I'll let you make that call. I would just caution you against spreading yourself super thin because if you talk about the process of analyzing your autopilots and finding weaknesses, that takes a lot of deliberate thought, and not just in terms of a lot of energy in the moment, but it takes a lot of those moments. Like you need to do that again and again and again, right? So I would say, we can make some progress here. Who's your second most played things? You said like 60, 70% Ryan, correct?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm not 100% on that second most played, but I would say it's probably either Monkey Diva or Zarya.
Okay, so with that information in mind, we can expect like let's say very slow growth with Monkey Diva Zarya, like very very slow. Reinhardt maybe medium growth, right? In terms of like improvement, like you're going to see some corrections of your mistakes over time. And then the other ones you're just not going to improve at all. They're just going to kind of be there, like Sigma, Orisa, and so on. And as long as you're okay with that, and just like I don't mind if I'm still static, just when I want them, they're still there, then that's fine with me.
Okay.
Fine with me. Just so you're
I will
aware.
say, yeah, no, I gotcha. I've been playing for a long time. I've clocked in a lot of hours. So, and because, I've always wanted to kind of flex and just generally, I do have a tendency to um, prioritize what someone might ask me to do over
Sure.
what I feel.
Right. I mean, you also have the responsibility of a shot caller where I think to be a good communicator, you have to show a willingness to bend a little bit, right?
Right.
And so there's like a level of like, that's just good leadership, right? It's not something that I would encourage anybody to do who's not shot calling. But if that's something that you enjoy doing, then yeah, by all means. Like you're just in a unique situation. You kind of find like your sense of identity tied to things that I normally for the average rank player wouldn't encourage, which is that shot calling, which is that like kind of more of a broad hero pool when it's necessary. But you seem relatively well equipped. You know the shortcomings and you enjoy it. So who am I to say otherwise, right?
Yeah. Fair
Like
enough.
seriously,
Okay.
like you should. So I would always just be aware of like if that is something that starts to kind of frustrate you or alienate yourself from it or you're not enjoying, then just be aware that those are going to be the weak points of your game. But I don't really think it's like I'm not going to sit here and tell you to not join voice. If you're hard calling and that's just how you like playing, go for it.
Right.
Seriously,
And
go for it.
I do have like, you know, at least before all the rank changes, I haven't used them in a little while, but I have a lot of other accounts too, right? Some of them I like to like, one trick Rhine or just do what I want to do, basically. Um, I'll admit it. I'm not scared.
Yeah, I got it. I
But
got it.
yeah. So when I want to do that, like I play differently. And I use
Okay.
my main account, when I'm really trying to flex and
Okay.
like improve and.
Okay. Goals for you as well. You talked about like I don't really care about his rank as much as just generally being able to identify the improvements in my own gameplay, right? I want a shot call. I'm not really going to be on a team anytime soon, at least you said at the time of the forum, but I
Yeah.
just want to be able to practice those skills. So yeah, bonus goal would be to improve your own skills coaching and providing teammates or friends with helpful feedback. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you know this as well as I do, but teammates, in terms of ranked teammates, is always a bit of a tricky one. But for friends, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's keep
And
going here.
I guess a bonus goal, actually, real quick.
Bonus,
because
bonus. Okay.
obviously it wasn't relevant back then. But perks, that's a
Oh,
thing now, right?
let's talk about them. Let's talk about them. So,
Yeah,
let's pull up perks Overwatch really quick here. I can remember, I think, all of them, but just in case. So, talk to me through Rhine. What are your experiences with the Rhine perks so far? And now these are obviously subject to change, so to keep that in mind. But for right now, what are you
right.
thinking?
Well, for the two minor perks, as it stands, I do prefer the health regeneration, the passive one, a little bit
Yep.
more, just because of Ryan's large health pool and how uh, the health regen works differently for tanks than
Yep.
because it's like health
Agreed.
pool dependent.
Agreed.
So I feel like that one's low key still a little underrated, especially with the Rat
I
Ryan
agree.
play style. I don't. I started choosing the other one, and I'd kind of only pick it now if they have like a lot of like piercing damage, a lot of like die. If it's like if they're gonna be ignoring me anyway, or
Right.
but still, it's
I
I'm
find it was
almost always
useful.
choosing the first one.
I found it was useful, the other one for regenerating shield in terms of like hard, like brawl mirrors. Like if I'm playing into like Ram, May, Reaper, Orisa, whatever,
Right.
where I'm going to be basically constantly taking damage and some extra shield HP might be useful. But I agree with you. Like even in dive, I'm going to be repositioning a lot. So being a little bit more
Right.
self-sufficient is a big deal.
Exactly.
And if
Yeah.
they're focusing me with dive, yeah, it's not going to be helpful, but they probably won't be focusing me with dive. So
Exactly.
what about the
Yeah.
majors?
The majors, that's an easy choice for me. I have never used the shield bash. I never want to. With
Yeah,
Rhine,
I'm
it,
with you
it
on that
just
one
makes
too.
it so you can't rotate your camera while you're holding shield.
Yep.
You
Third
can't lock
person
it.
is
It,
terrible
it,
with
ju-
it.
it
Yeah.
just feels terrible. It feels
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. That one's an
Um,
easy one. Okay.
like I see what they were trying to cook there, but like, you
Yeah.
just can't. You're just
It
taking away
it's
something that's way too
it was a
important.
good try, but it's a no bueno for me too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Winston
Winston, I mean, let's see. I'm trying to remember. So
Tesla
his
cannon damage one on the
I
deployables.
don't know if I've ever picked the deployable one unless I feel like you're trying to cover what might be his weaknesses, but like you can't. I feel like those are situations where it either won't matter too much or you won't be on Winston anyway. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's so niche
Yeah. It
that
would
I
make more
usually opt for the
sense if it
primal
was
one.
more than 30%, right? But as it
Right.
is now, it's not
Agreed.
enough to actually change how you play. And so, like you said, it's not enough to cover your weaknesses. And because Winston can only shoot certain things. Now, I would be curious to see if that applies to your Tesla can, like your alt fire. I don't know if
Mm,
it does, but even if it did, 30% is
I
not
think it
enough. But if
might,
that
but
was,
I'm not
if
positive.
if that was more like 50, 55, 60% and then applied to your alt fire, well, then now we're cooking, right? But yeah, now it just doesn't so much. Okay, so we could expedite this a little bit. Do you have any questions about perks? Do you have any other goal? Because you brought that up as one of your goals, so I don't want to just move past it, but I don't want to sit here for hours.
Yeah, I mean, obviously very hero dependent, and a lot of it, I
Sure.
guess, I don't know if I don't know if I have like direct questions, but
Okay.
maybe during the review,
Yeah,
you could like bring up some okay,
let's
this
do
would
it.
be a good opportunity for this, or
Yeah,
that hero picked that.
let's do it.
I'm not great at being aware of enemy team perks unless they have like clear visuals, right?
Yeah,
I don't know all the icons, so that's what I'm trying to pay
yeah.
more attention to on the scoreboard and stuff.
Sure. Okay. Um, Last thing we'll touch on here before we go into a little bit more details of your weaknesses here is like obviously you know that your playtime's kind of in a unique scenario where you are kind of approaching self-improvement off and on, at least when you were filling out the form. Whereas like a lot of your
Yeah.
time is your group with friends at varied ranks, so you say self-improvement often takes a back seat. I can usually only focus on improving when I solo queue, but I struggle to want to put myself in that position since I find it less fun. I mean, yeah, makes sense. Um, there isn't really any way to sugarcoat that outside of maybe if you're playing with friends, you could still find time to clean up some mechanical habits, right? Like that might be a
Mm.
good time to work on being deliberate with your fire strikes because you don't really need to and or want to think strategically about your position. That's going to be maybe something that's not going to be punished or stressed for you as much but if you're able to just work on fire strike accuracy or hitting your alt fire or landing combos or whatever, that might be a little bit more enjoyable. But I would say if you ever were to want to find value in your playing with friends, Just set the goals really low.
Yeah.
Make the goals really simple.
Gotcha.
Something that's easy to replicate, if that makes sense.
Right. Do you recommend focusing on like one main thing per game or per session?
I prefer per game. I think per session can depend on the person, but I think it can get a bit dull.
Okay.
But it's totally up to you. I think also it depends on what you're playing into can change, right? So fire psych accuracy can feel very rewarding in some situations. In some situations, feels like it just doesn't matter at all. It's a waste of time. When you could be thinking about like, where can I rat as Ryan, right? That might be more important. It's up to you. It's up to you. Okay. I feel like my speed of decision making and lack of proactivity. You talked about lack of proactivity earlier. Autopilot too often. We talked about that a little bit too. Caught up in comps too much. I mean, that's not a surprise, given to me that's both a strength and a weakness for you. Okay. Over reliance on communication and teammates being a VC. I do calm a lot when I'm trying. Again, not a surprise. Things that we're aware of. I would basically say this. You have strengths that you can rely on, but the problem is that your strengths are where you can find a lot of fun, but I have less confidence guaranteeing you that you're still going to get reward for them. In other words, you find calming fun. Great. Playing the right hero at the right situation, the right map is fun. Yes, absolutely. However, it may not be as the most productive personality trait in a ranked ladder.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I know a lot of really, really, really high ranked players in Overwatch that are actually not even that. Well, I mean, they're really good players, like in professional play, but they're not as good as other players who are better at like communication, smart, all that kind of stuff. Because in ranked, it just matters how good you are at the character that you're playing, and that's it. That's really it. Communication is basically done through like, am I positioning myself around where my team can help? And I mean, you know the basics of that, right? So if that's something that you enjoy, that's great. It's not going to be something that's going to carry your rank very high. We'll put it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do with that information as you will. But yeah. Okay. Do you want to get into some gameplay here?
Sure, let's do it.
Right.
I do want to warn you, I was having this bug with my replay code, so I'm hoping they work for you.
Yep. No, it's not just you. It's all the replay codes. So
really? Okay.
You just have to be super, super, super slow and super, super, super careful, and we're good to go.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Which code do you want to start with here?
Let's start at the top of the three. It's Sig and Winston gameplay.
Sig and Winston. Okay. Alrighty here. Can you see the stream okay?
Yep.
And you said this one was giving you grief, this code here?
Yeah, what did I say about it?
It was crashing, I assume.
Oh, no, this is actually one of the ones that was fine. This one was
really?
totally fine all the way through. Yeah, it was one of the only codes that didn't crash for me.
Okay, well, I hope it works for me as well. We're going to do a stress test really fast. Well, I've noticed only like 30% of them work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them you can go to like a pretty late in the VOD, which is nice. Yeah, you're right. This one's good. We're cooking.
One of the only ones all the way through. Yeah.
Love to see it. Okay, why this code? Besides the fact that I assume it worked, but why else this code?
So this is a game we spoilers, we lost. I felt personally I was playing this one really well. I played a good number of games the other day, and this is what these codes are from. And yeah, I think especially I felt really good about my rocks this game, and just generally soaking up as much as I could, and being a threat. But I think if I have my memory, I'm pretty sure there was a Doom that was just doing a lot more than me, basically.
Okay.
And I couldn't afford to always be, on top of him. Of course, you can see the comp we started with is a total mess, right?
Yeah.
With the Mercy Zen. I think we knew going in that they had a Doom player. And there were comms. I don't think anyone else had a mic this game, but people were in voice. So
okay. All right.
they were at least able to listen. Yeah.
Do you have any questions about communication fundamentals?
Stop the payload.
Fundamentals? I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Unless, well, what do you mean by fundamentals?
Like, do you have any questions about comms in general that maybe you would have wanted to talk about? Because it is an important part of how you have fun, but I don't know if you have any questions.
Um, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I've been told I calm too much by some people that just want silence and want to play the game.
Yeah.
Um,
Ready for
but that's just how I play.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's take a look here.
one.
If any questions come up, just let me know. All right.
Sounds good.
Stop the payload.
So picking right here for the map goes without saying. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna try to not be too nitpicky with your mechanics, because I'm not expecting you to be able to fix those habits immediately, right? Given how much that you play Sigma, right? You probably play an okay amount of Sigma, but not like
Right.
hours and hours, right?
I'll always play them on this map. I'll always play them on circuit, or at least I'll start.
Sure.
Sig.
Sure.
And then a lot of the time, we might move to dive or something.
Sure. So if I see anything egregious, I'll let you know, but I'm going to let some stuff
Yeah.
go to focus more on some of the macro of how you're positioning, like your biggest bang for your buck. Like, what's the most
good.
value you can get out of this character, even if you don't play perfectly. Like what we're doing right now, basically managing our shield as best we can and just putting out pressure when and where we can on whatever you can shoot. I don't hate that rock if it hits. I think it does kill him if it hits. Good shots, good shield management. We'll keep moving.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Doom went behind us here, and I calmed the team, and no one really changed what they were doing.
So this is the thing. This is not something that your team can easily change what they're doing on, but his choice there is still a risk because when he goes behind, he doesn't get support anymore, and he doesn't have a self-heal. Let your team handle the threat. You handle what you can handle. That's the rule
Right.
of tanking, right? And you know that. But this may be where your communicational focus is a hindrance. Because there's this is the most dangerous moment of the entire game so far. Because the Doomfist is tanking you right now, psychologically. Do you see it?
Yeah.
You're peeking here when he's clearly beyond your grasp. He's still doing damage. And you've let your backline be vulnerable to 3 people that you should be controlling.
Gotcha.
So this is where you just need to be really careful. Make the call, but if it's not something that you can handle, you have to trust. Like part of being a good team member is trusting your teammates, right? Even when they let you down, right? So that you can do
Right.
your
I
job.
realized that pretty quickly, and I turned. Right.
Right.
I mainly wanted to go over there and check. My intention was to see, is he waiting around this corner, just like, to
Yeah,
bait me
yeah,
over,
I
and
get
then,
that.
or is he
I get
committing
that.
on my backline right now?
I get it. But even some of this moment here, like right here, mate, just trust. We need volleys here, We need volleys here. You have to trust. Like even here, there's still a lot of downtime prior to this. Nice rock, by the way. Just a good reminder, There's a very careful balance between helping and being a hindrance,
Gotcha.
Sure. It's always a little tricky to know when you should accretion Doomfist, but
Yeah.
as long as he's actually taking space, again, I'm not going to settle in the weeds on the micro here. Nice accretion.
I missed the second.
Again,
shot, though.
it's fine. Mechanics, right? Our expectations are low. Shields break, that's kind of a big no-no, right? That's one of the mechanics that I want to see as little as possible, even if you don't play this character very often, right?
Gotcha.
It's just I mean, you know how it goes, right? Same thing with Reinhardt. You let it break, it takes forever to regenerate, so. This is also a situation as well where you really should not be holding the same corner. So this is a macro fundamental. What's the rule when you are down a man, assuming everything else is the same?
Everything else is the same.
Because they didn't really use a lot of cooldowns for that, right? They're even breaking Torb Turret. You've used a lot of cooldowns as well. Now what?
Probably back out and conserve resources, give
Sure.
space, but
Give
preserve your
space.
life and get your resources back.
So there's
to save
really
lives.
2 things that you can do. You give space / keep space. Okay, so give space and keep space, essentially. Or you play more, or you play full confidence. Okay, what that means is if you think that they have
Right.
used a lot here, I'm going to kill somebody right now, right? Okay, I failed, I died, but at least they didn't move the objective very far. You got me?
Yeah.
The other option is, as you
kind
said,
of opted for that,
yeah,
to be
right,
fair.
right. But the problem is that it's halfway. it's halfway. You're kind of backing off, but not really backing off. And so now you're just taking an unbelievable amount of damage in a situation where you don't really have anything to trade on, right? It's just a general psychology. When you're down, you either play more aggressively or you give up space, rinse and repeat, cut your losses and try again. This is neither. And this has to be done better. I think knowing which one to do is what makes a tank great. With the information that we have now, this is all the information you know to know which one to make.
Yeah.
No accretion, shield's broken, everybody's full HP, you're half HP. You can still control a good position if you back up too, right? This isn't like, oh, you're on the floor, you're going to die anyway. You'll be fine if you back up. But you're confident enough to walk forward, even here, as if everything's just fine and dandy. And my goodness gracious, it is not.
No, it's not. Yeah, I got baited by the health pools, the low health pools. All those health bars are visible to me. I'm like, one of these surely I can get.
Right, but think the mistake wasn't post accretion. The mistake was here, or excuse me, that was when the mistake was not. It was here. This is the mistake.
Putting shield out.
Just even here. No, you're screwing up right here. You have no cooldowns. You cannot afford to hold the space. The mistake was here. The mistake was here. The mistake was also here. Right, walking forward. Right. Mistake, now it's too late, right? Like, now it's too late, you know? So that's the main problem here, is like the status of the battlefield meant that you need to give up a little bit of space so that you don't die. Losing space isn't terrible. Dying means that, well, yeah, it's over. Like, even now, right? It's like we're fighting, but we're still down one, right? We're still down one. So, like, really, how should you be playing once again here?
I think here it would be wisest to back all the way out.
I agree. Like, even if you were to go, like, here.
I saw my Torb in the flank. Or to play on Mega there.
Yeah. The details I'll let you sort out on your own, but the mentality is that I need to play this one with a little bit more respect. You're going in the opposite direction here. But that's not bad, because at least here you have the tools for the more aggressive play to work, right? Remember, we just said that when you're down one, you either quickly make a play, cut off the limb. You get what I'm saying? Or you disengage entirely. Your choice. You're going in decisively here. So there's a chance. Now, why does that work? Why does that work?
What? Like, because you use a large burst of resources in an attempt to catch them off guard, because ideally they're overextending.
See, that's it right there. Yes, they have an advantage.
We flip it. Yeah.
Correct. They have an advantage. They want to push the advantage. You catch them sleeping. The other thing you have to pay a real close attention to, this is really getting into the weeds, but did it cost them resources to get that advantage? Like, I don't know if this Ana has Sleep Dart or Nada or Suzu, right? So they have no sleep. They have Suzu, but they've used Dynamite, they've used Sleep Dart, they've used Slam, they've used Block, the Doomfist took space. So maybe there's a world here where, like, to get to this point in the battlefield, it costs them some resources here. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is fine. This is more fine than what you did here, hilariously. Right?
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that. I mean, I mostly went for that flux because I saw my Torb wanting to commit around left.
Yeah. It was a question of timing, right?
We're just about be back.
Well, your Torb applied the same principle that I'm asking you to, where it's like, we're down one, so I'm going to go for a more volatile, aggressive play because there's fewer downsides because we're going to lose anyway.
Totally.
You get what I'm saying? You're somebody that has, they're all in a poker table, like they don't really care what hand they have. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
this is sad. I whiff these.
I mean, yeah, but you force an ultimate. It's fine. This is a decent fight.
But actually, to stay on that for a second, what do you think I could have done post-flux there? Maybe a bit differently.
Okay.
Is there something safer I could have done there?
Well, you tell me.
Because I feel like there's a...
So this is where things get really funny.
Like right here.
Because who has the advantage now?
I mean, I would say us.
I feel like you have a small advantage.
Player advantage, right?
I feel like you have a small advantage, right? Yeah. So then how should you position right now? What's the status of your CDs?
Fairly non-existent.
Right. Same with your health, right? Same thing. Your resources are low, so then what should you do?
Ideally, I feel like since this Soj is in a really unsafe spot, she can't sustain there, and there are no supports. What I went for was killing the Soj, but I think it's possible. I could have wrapped around to Mega just to back.
Yeah, I think killing the
where I'm
Soj is
going to the right.
fine, but look at how you attack the Soj. Maybe just hold the corner, and then she slides up.
Stay here,
you could just tuck in here, force an overextension. Yeah, exactly. Just prioritize cover.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that was a time where I certainly overestimated my mechanics, and I'm like, I just got to hit 2 spheres on her, and it's
I think
fine.
the
200-300 health.
The thing to point out though is that wouldn't have mattered because you died to Bob anyway.
Oh, that's true. Fair enough.
And, so the only thing that would have gotten you safe is actually getting to here and then finding cover away from the entire engagement entirely. Like literally just passive heal, let your Torb die, get the trade on the Sojourn, and then just you and your Zen hope to win the 2v2. It's funny because the reason why the Flux worked is the reason why this Bob worked.
Can you elaborate a little?
Overconfidence. You get what I'm saying? It's the same concept that we talked about, where you were at a disadvantage, so you just explosively blew resources and caught them with their pants down. And that's exactly what killed you. Exactly what killed you. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's your macro concept right there, right? Where it's not that you have to be scared when you're up one. You just got to be like, did I blow a bunch to get to that advantage, right? Or do I still have a lot in my toolbox? I mean, really the biggest thing I can tell you is pay attention to your kit and position accordingly. Don't just pay attention to your kill feed.
Right.
Kill feed's very important, but the kill feed's important because it's the threat of the cooldowns that those characters have. You know what I'm saying? Like even now, you're not dead, but what is your mentality? Right. Wasted to cooldowns, wasted accretion, right? Yeah. A little messy, right? How do you need to position here? I wouldn't necessarily give up this position entirely, but
right now,
what's your mentality, right?
I would low-key stay where I am and just hug either the box on my right or that close wall on the right.
Yeah, exactly. Like even just little things like I'm going to be very disciplined with how I'm using cover here. Like exactly what you're doing right now, right? Yeah. This is good. This is good. This is the same principle of what happened in the previous fight with the ults. It's the concept of I am low on resources, so I'm going to kind of stabilize and wait for my peak here. Now I have resources coming up, so what do? Right?
Old W. Yeah, these guys just like hung out.
Right.
So.
Now, Sigma's not exactly the #1 take the whole W on, but hey, if it's an Ashe, it's an Anakiri, if it's 250 HP, it can break. So, good stuff. See, even here, you're thinking, why am I so brave? Well, I know I'm down resources, but they're also down resources too, right? Because you kind of trade equally here.
They're respawning, they're kind of hanging out in the open. I figured my Widow might
exactly. Now, you'll back this off now because you are kind of 1v4ing at this point, but yeah, exactly. Your Widow does exactly that. Micro here of the punch, we won't go into it, but you know the mistake. One thing here I'll say about perks, because we haven't talked about it, you chose the right perk. This perk is crazy. It's like 150 damage eaten, or even it's like basically no damage, and it's like 5-second cooldown reduction.
Wait, I actually don't know. Maybe you do. If you get your grasp canceled, do you still get the cooldown?
I don't know.
Or because you don't actually gain health.
I would assume no. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really funny one. Because we're back in the world where, once again, you've kind of overextended a little bit and or mess up your micro a bit and then get your cooldowns forced, essentially. And then your cooldowns canceled again. So then you pop Flux. Now, I think you're too low for this to work, to be honest with you. But once again, we're kind of in that macro position where, like, actually on paper, this could work because what is the enemy team thinking right now? What is that backline doing?
They're trying to rotate, immediately take that space.
It's confidence, right? It's like, oh, shoot, this guy's screwed. Let's go. Uh-oh, Flux.
Yep. So I'm trying to zone as many as possible.
And it works.
Right. From walking up.
And once again, it works. So my critique to you is if we could get you to freaking stop wasting your cooldowns or losing bad matchups, then we could not only have you catching low resource trades with your ult, but you could
Oh, I
also just
trolled
come
here,
out.
by the way. Heads up.
What's up?
I absolutely troll right here.
Oh.
I like that. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, again, these are things that I'm expecting given your situation. Like, this is not an easy, like, Sigma's like extremely mechanically demanding character, so.
All right. Also, I mean, support to die to that point. I think the fight was kind of over. So.
Yeah. I think macro here, I think you had time to rotate top first. Definitely think you had time to rotate top first. Very important in this map.
I wanted to go top left. I usually like going top left. I'm not a top right kind of guy, generally. My team was going top right. What do you think I could have done for, I mean, if you want to zoom out a sec.
Sure.
If I had comms here, I think my Widow's close by. Do you think going top left with my Widow could have been beneficial?
Yes, you needed to clear the space. You need to clear the space. Because basically, if you don't confront these guys head on, they're going to be the ones that are killing you here, and that's exactly what happens.
Gotcha.
Like, these angles, like, look at the map control that these DPS control. Your Widow's kind of helping you on here, but this is brutal. This is so brutal, right? So, I think it was maybe just a question of you misjudging how close the cart was, like maybe cutting you some slack there. But you needed to clear the space first. I
figured I had to be the one to touch as well.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do.
I didn't really think about the trank. To be fair, I did not think that we had trank.
I don't think it's that complicated. I think that you just misjudged the cart. I think you could easily have cleared top, shot here for at least 5 seconds, and then drop when you had to. You know, I think that's the more consistent thing. Judge, do I have to touch when I have to? I mean, I agree with the cart, or with the trance, but yeah. Again, I think the perk is correct for the map.
Yeah.
Worth noting, I don't know if you know this, but the empowered melee from the other perk does increase your melee damage by a little bit. I think it's like 80 damage or 90 damage or something like that.
I will say I was a double jumper for like my first 10 SIG games, and now I've never not picked the melee one.
It may just be a comp thing. I look at this here. I think that you chose the right perk for this situation. I don't think you're going to be playing, like, you're not going to be playing karate with anybody on that comp, essentially.
Right, yeah. No, in this situation, when there's low enough high ground that I can reach it. I mean, you can reach this high ground normally anyway.
Right.
But it's so much easier with a double jump. I definitely went with the double jump here, I think.
It is, and there's also just nothing to punch, essentially, too.
Right.
That's pretty much all it is. So, yeah, I think you chose the right perk.
Because I'm not going to be close range to them anyway. They're not going to come for me close range besides the Doom, and that doesn't matter. So
I'd be using my perk now, I'll tell you what. Maybe you forgot.
Yeah. I think I must have. I think I did.
Yeah,
we also had Zen come back from spawn.
Yeah.
I think I was speaking a lot about zoning those DPS as well, where the Doom was on the back line. But yeah, I did it from a not great spot. You know?
Well, that's it, right? The play was correct, but the execution of it was not good, which is going to cost you your shift. And you also let your shield break. Creation needs to hit.
I just get dono wild here, honestly. Like I'm hanging out on cart.
It's just bad cooldown usage and bad mechanics, right? And then I think also, like you said, you just kind of forgot about your perk, right? Like, I know what you're trying to do. The macro of what you're trying to do is correct, but my goodness gracious, you have to hit your Creation, you have to hit your primary fire, and then you got to remember that you have a perk. That's pretty much all there is to it. Like, it's not easy to do what you're doing, or to do it correctly, but yeah, I mean, like you said, you get dono walled, and that is the most depressing thing as a tank, right? When you just realize that I might as well not existed with what I did. Oh, that was a nice rock. This is fine. Again, verticality here. I swear, you gotta remember that perk.
I know.
That's okay. It happens.
I'm getting better at it, but it's still...
Yeah, I mean, it's still a learning process.
Tried to zone the heals there, but...
Yep.
I try to literally eat the heals because I figure team's still right behind me and we can clutch it up. But
yeah. One thing I will say is, like, just a good general reminder, because it has happened a lot. Just remember that Doom and just CC in general can cancel CDs, so just be careful of that.
Yeah. I need to get a lot better at the Sig v Doom matchup specifically.
Yeah. And this is just little details, right? So the first one is just you needed to be high ground because you're getting pincered from behind. So the Ashe, I guarantee you, clears out your backline and then isolates you. Yeah, and this is exactly what happens, right? And so now you're totally isolated because you're not positioned to control backline. Well, you need to be high ground, but I also say if you're not going to be high ground, you at the very least need to shoot more volleys here before you walk forward. Clear the angle first.
Yeah, Ash can't stay.
Because you thought about her, but it just happened too late. Okay. A bit of a random flux, and nowhere to follow up there either.
It kind of was. This was desperate. I knew it was the last fight. I knew we were down one. I knew we also had a lot of ults.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of just make some sort of opening.
Don't forget, with
was
flux,
kind of nothing flux, right?
If you're really under a lot of pressure, like right here, just pop it and look at him.
Yeah.
You know, pop it, look at him for a second. Well, actually, that's actually kind of risky. Well, it depends on it depends on whether he has slam or not. Essentially,
I don't think I think he just slammed in or something.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty sure I was totally safe. That's why I heard him on my right. I'm like, okay, I can go up and it's safe.
Yeah, so it's tricky. It's tricky. It's not a useless flux. It does allow you guys some space. It forces some CDs. But ultimately, it just kind of feels a little shaky, right? Like, I think most of where I'm seeing errors right here were mechanical in matchups, which sadly are not going to be something that you could just snap your fingers and get better at, right?
Gotcha.
I will say in terms of macro, things that you can control, pay closer attention to the space that you're controlling or giving up based off of the status of your CDs.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Resources, whether you're down one, you're up one, but you have a lot of resources, your ultimate being included in that, and kind of play around that, right? That's by far the most important thing. Beyond that, you just need practice. I have no other feedback from you. The matchups and the ability to hit your shots, I think, was crucial. That's all.
Totally.
Any questions?
No, I mean, no offense. Like, you didn't leave a lot of room for questions. I just got to get good. You know, I need to play more Sig, right?
Yeah.
Would you say Sig is one of the, I feel like he's so map dependent for me, but if I was to add Sig to the pool of those heroes that I might play a bit more of than others, let's say, would you recommend maybe just getting practice in on maybe not necessarily like Sig ideal maps just to
you could. I mean, if I pull up the map list here, Overwatch maps really quick here.
I used to play them on Numbani, but not much these days. I prefer
so let's go. Busan is probably a Koth map where you could play him. Nepal Sanctum, quite good. Honestly, even Nepal Village. You see, like Nepal as a whole is actually not a terrible Sigma map if you're talking about Koth, right? Generally, Sigma and Koth is pretty bad, but if you're gonna force them, Busan and Nepal have moments, right?
Right, they do.
Circuit we talked about already. I think third points and escorts are really good. You talk about Havana, we talk about Dorado third point, we talk about Rialto third point can work. Rialto first point can be okay as well. Route 66 third point, Shambali third point, a lot of Shambali actually. Even Watchpoint Gibraltar third point. Flashpoint can be a bit rough. Eichenwald third point can be okay. Kings
I'm gonna be honest about Gibraltar. I would say about a quarter of the Gibraltar games I play total make it to third point on either team.
Right. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, any map board. I mean, you know the routine, but yeah, I think you can fit them in here and there. And I would only do so if you want to. I wouldn't second guess your entire, your approach here. But here's what I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, I'm full transparency here. Okay, I think maybe this was just a kind of a shaky Sigma game for you. You don't always play like this. You forgot the perk, which definitely didn't help. Like that definitely made a lot of fights feel worse. But I'm gonna be honest with you. You would have gotten a lot more playing Ryan that defense. Just straight. Up. Just straight up.
That's fair.
Now would it have been more fun to play Sigma? That's a fair point. I'm not sure, but you would have contributed more playing Ryan. So that's kind of like my concern here. It's like we kind of reached a point there where like a lot of fights were being lost through mechanics. So it's not even like, oh, just working this strategic thing and you'll contribute more than Ryan. I don't know. I actually don't know if that would have worked there. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. How much time do we have? I
Maybe
forgot.
15
Do you
more
look
minutes.
at one or two?
We can go 15 over. I don't mind.
Sweet. Well, yeah, if you want to either finish this one or we could, we could look at some Ryan gameplay, see maybe how that'd be different. Or
we could look at that. If we look at that, we can look at that. Let's. Which code would you?
I'd say it's your call.
What
do you think from what you've seen? Do you want to see how my Ryan gameplay would differ in terms of space making?
I would say Ryan might be good to look at just because you're putting so much time into it. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Which one do you want to look at here?
Let's see. Well, let's see if either of them work first, right? I'm
Well,
pretty sure.
we'll treat it as if they won't, and we'll just go slowly through them.
Okay, do the Parisa one.
Parisa, okay. Is that a G? Yeah,
Yeah.
G4.
G4F. Yeah.
F-Zan. Okay. And yeah, if we sit really quietly here and don't skip too far forward too late in the code, we should be fine.
3.
Okay.
Defend objective A.
They're missing a player.
Yeah, they are.
It's a good try. I think if you catch the pin off the top, then he's cooked.
That was the idea. I actually feed early here. I like this. I think we're totally safe here, and so I go for a play. Forgot about the hinder.
You know, it's funny. It's not just the hinder, though. This is also a classic example of what we talked about in Junkertown, right? Where it's like, you're up one, so you just go. But the reality is that you're actually not up one because look at these frickers. You know what I'm saying? They're completely worthless, right? So it's actually you're down one when you pinned, right? So it's, again, one of those moments where it's like you're up one kill feed, but you're not reading your team's positioning or the status of your CDs. You also didn't have full HP either. You were down about 200 HP. Totally. So the play itself is fine. Like, you guys are probably going to cap this. But you needed to wait 3 seconds before doing that. It's basically all it is. Like, that's the key thing. Exactly. Like, we're talking about, like, what's the actionable feedback? Yeah, like, to me, it's like, what's the actionable feedback from here? Wait 3 seconds. Same thing with the Sigma, right? Back up to the next corner and wait. I mean, that's it, right? That's all you need to do. Just a little bit more patience between your cycles as your team capitalizes. That's just, remember hinder, right?
Right.
That one's more remember hinder than anything else because that's going to cost you a lot of HP. Sure. We're just gonna... Sure. I actually don't hate this either, just because there is a world where they actually win that out. Like, he lives there, and Mercy... I think Moira was alive, too, so it's like, it's a 4v3. Just use the ult.
It was the first ult of the game, so it's
use it.
You got 4 after that, right?
Yeah, win the point. Fire strikes are a little sloppy. Could at least force more of a response by aiming them a little bit better. So in terms of macro here, I much prefer at least sitting here at the start and then deciding what you want to do from there. Either you're going to mark a DPS early, okay? Or you could just drop down to corner whenever you want to.
Totally. A lot of the time I go over, on that high ground through that window there, and I pin over to the enemy high ground from, through here. Yeah.
It's good. Now, that's not something you're going to be doing anytime soon here.
Right,
but
exactly.
The main goal with Rein, like I always say, like bronze versus top 500 Rein is hit guy with hammer. That's the goal, right? So top 5, like we get lost in the weeds with platinum diamond. So the reason I don't like this here is because you're not going to hit people with hammer from here, right?
Yeah.
So therefore you create no space. Here,
I think I back up to the Rein.
Here, maybe there's a chance, right? So you create space. And if there's nobody to hit hammer with, then at least you make sure that there's nobody here. Nobody cares if anybody's in this room, right? Nobody cares, right? So these guys, if I'm this cast, I'm like, okay, Ryan, well, anyway, have fun, right? And I just take space anyway. Like, this is, I have no idea what this Genji's doing. This is basically being given the opportunity to create space because the DPS are too stupid to do anything other than walk directly into you.
Right. This is a tough moment.
Oh, did he get Mega?
No, I got it. Or maybe he did. But then this happened.
Oh, okay. I was about to go, oh, wow, what a fire strike. Oh, no.
I'm good for those sometimes, but I did not see the cast heavy angle.
I mean, it happens. It happens. Like I said, the thing I'm majorly concerned about is where you were positioned pre-fight.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any
sense.
sense.
I don't play Ryan on this map very often. I used to a bit more.
It's very hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
I think Cloudy says this is Ryan's worst map.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A lot of verticality, but the verticality is very close to cart, so it's hard to force cart with Ryan and not get poked out. Whereas a map like Gibraltar, you could force cart, and it kind of takes more of a commitment from the enemy team to clear you out. Good. Let's walk forward, use shield. Again, these fire strikes feel pretty arbitrary. Like, there's always a reason behind them, like, oh, Genji's going to tail me, but, like, it's too valuable of a resource to just go and, well, maybe that'll hit somebody.
Right. I think a lot of the time, if I have both fire strikes and I'm about to reposition, I'll just use one because I know I'll have it back in time. But again, not very intentional about it.
Sure, be a little bit more intentional here. I think this was okay after you killed Moira. Probably should see to drop the cart sooner. Like, those are intentional, you know?
Yep.
Like, those were reading movement patterns, aiming deliberately. It's intentional. Okay, let's go.
Let the kitsune guide you.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, this is... I know.
I wanted that, like, 3 seconds ago. I'm not going to lie with you. I was like, may I hit the shatter.
I know. Would you have gone for the cast or...
No, 180. Yeah.
180, yeah.
Yeah, I would have done it. Yeah, I think this is just mechanical. Like, you missed the corner with the pin, and then you needed to immediately 180 shatter. And then
I still had the Kitsune speed. It screwed me up. I was not... I just, like, did not lock in for that.
That's all right. You still created a lot of space. You hit people with hammer, so this is fine. Lazy fire strikes there.
Yep. Could have gone for the Genji with those fire strikes instead, if I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just back out. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good fire strikes. I mean, not when you missed, but at least you tried. You know, like, that's all I'm really looking for, right? Like,
Sure.
Okay, clearing angle here, clearing space. Push the Moira. Push her up.
Really? I think I opt to push the Rhine because I know he's going to play close because I know he has Shatter here.
Now,
no, he doesn't have Shatter.
Even if he does, I understand the risk here of like, oh, do I really want to pin the Moira because I'll get counter pinned behind? Yeah, maybe.
Well,
but that's why
leaving team open.
But that's why you pin to corners.
Yeah.
So when you pin this Moira, she's gonna fade. So you're gonna pin all the way to here, cancel pin, and jump up, right? And then now you've created space for your Bastion, for your Zen. Ryan can't, because now Ryan,
he can't touch me.
He's gonna get shot in the back, right? It's over, right? So it's just basically pin the corners, create space. Even with Shatter, like if your team gets shattered there, that's their fault. I will say, I don't know if I like that pin.
Because of the hinder?
Well, no. Think about what's the rule with pin, right? Where do you want to end? Even with hinder, yes, of course.
Not in the open, right? Ideally around a corner, but
you
like...
You will end here, but you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead. You're dead here. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, you are inside. There is no help here. Now, if I had Shatter here to kind of like layer on top and just basically 2v1 by myself, maybe. But just something to consider. Just something to consider. I think a good rule of pin is always think about where do I want to end up, right? Good fire strikes. Like here, even if he had hinder, it doesn't matter. I want to be here. Yeah. So this is fine. Nice. Okay. Sadly, we can't skip here, so I'll just 2 times it. Good. I like this. Obviously, just need to cancel the pin a little faster, but the idea is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the idea is there. It's just a question of like the little details, right? Just cancel. You're getting hindered a lot in your pins. You know, that's 150, 200 HP, right? So that's going to force a teleport, which is then going to kill your Kiriko, which is then going to kill you, and then, you know, kind of the butterfly effect from there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I was trying to call the cast's bluff like more than I should have because he played his cards the same every time. You know, I should have known the hinder's coming all the time too. Yeah. So would you recommend I would have gone top here? I'm curious.
Okay, so
or do you think this is an okay play?
Generally, no, because you're going to have to walk through a choke into them.
Yeah.
Instead of pulling them to you, right? The goal, again, with Ryan is hit them with a hammer. So you either walk to their spot or you make them walk to you by forcing the objective. Those are the rules, right? Right. Going through choke, bad. Going to point, maybe finding a corner on point or whatever, and having them come to you so then you have your choke is better.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
The reason why I say situationally yes is because here the Sombra actually did that for you. But obviously that's not something you can rely on every game. So like, I mean, I would have looked at this and been like, oh, my Sombra's on point, so yes, I'll take top because that's going to force them to drop anyway. But, you know,
Yeah.
this is fine. Yeah, I was going to say, normally not for comboing, but here you need to win this fight, so.
Right. Yeah, usually not worth. I didn't know she was going to EMP there. We're not in
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
no comms here, so.
It was good. I love the fact that your 180 Fire Strike is actually more accurate than most of your Fire Strikes so far.
I feel like that's, yeah.
You want to know why that is?
Why?
Because you know it's hard, and so you put a little bit of juice in it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you're kind of right. I'm the type of person who goes for unnecessary, like, 360 shatters.
Yeah, and you'll hit more than you think that you should because it's you
Very
try.
comfy with my stance, but,
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I want to make it happen, and so you'll lock in. I love this position for you. Just hold back corner where your supports can see you, and then you're cooking.
Yeah. I think that was a wasted pin. Even if
Yeah,
I didn't
you're so far pushed beyond your team here. You need to be really careful here.
I need to
if he
get
pins
out
you, you're
now.
dead. Oh, you are
Beautiful
so lucky.
hack. I know.
You are
I got
so
really
lucky.
lucky there.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I could have stayed high ground for a little bit longer, but I
Yeah, but you'd already committed to being. I need to get out of here, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Now, because there's not really a nasty choke here, I wouldn't hate it for you to go back up the stairs, like here, maybe something you've not really done before, and retake top and
go
just
around
kind of
right side. Yep.
sit here. Yeah. So you could kind of bring the hammer to them there, because forcing objective here is fine, but remember, you only force objective if it's difficult, uncomfortable, or hard to force your hammer on them.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's
You
as
think
difficult
it
here.
May have been nicer to just like have my not my tracer, I don't know what I'm saying. Like my Bastion or Kiri, maybe. hang
Sombra
out
probably.
my-
Sombra probably would have been even better.
Yeah,
right? 'Cause,
I guess so.
You know?
I guess so.
But regardless of that, you know, I think just going top whenever you can. You're gonna get shattered. Ooh, I'm surprised he did not shatter there. As soon as you turned, I thought you were screwed.
He's been holding that this entire time.
Yeah.
Usually when I know Ryan is shatter and I'm about to pin, I'm typically pretty good at being ready to immediately stop and 180 block. And you know, I'll only pin if I'm a certain distance from the Rhine where I know I have time to do it. Most of the time I'm good at.
Makes sense. This is one of the situations when you should force cart. Why?
Yeah, because I mean it's only their Moira on it, but that high ground they're playing is really dangerous for my team to be cart right now, and so I want to get them out of that position, force cart when I wouldn't be in danger. See if I can get them to drop or back, so my team gets their high ground.
If you want a really simple actionable thing here, is this choke bad now?
Yep, fair enough.
You know, like that's really all it is. Like when we talked about why should you clear high ground here, and then why did I want you forcing cart earlier? Well, because there's nobody here. Right?
Yeah.
So why did you not go up here? Why did you go down here, right? And then there were people up there, and so then you needed to go to cart. Same thing here. Like they were back here, so just go hit your hammer. But if they're holding choke, it bad, so go point now. You know, like that's something that you could bring to the table on any map in any situation. Pull them to you or go to them, but only pull them towards you if going to them is too uncomfortable. You see, this is good. It's boring, but good. These fire strikes are killing me.
Yeah, don't worry about that, man.
You block the shadow. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go.
I know. That was actually a terrible shatter.
You almost missed it.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't even know she had fade either.
Well, you're about to see what. That's not even the main reason it was bad. It was terrible for other reasons too. You're about to see. Had I saved it?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Like you're only up one. You know, I think it was okay. I really do.
You think?
Yeah, I do. I don't think it guaranteed the kill on the Moira if you don't. I just was concerned that they were just gonna dodge it.
Me missing that swing on the Moira there was actually catastrophic.
Yeah. Your support's also horribly mispositioned here. I don't know why we have two supports on cart.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did okay this last little bit here, but Yeah. Okay. We'll watch a little bit more here. I can do. Let's do 2 more fights. That work for you?
Cool. Sounds good.
Fire Strike, deliberation, not accuracy.
When you're deliberate, your accuracy is good. It's a very common problem. You're no different than most Ryans. You know, even myself, right? We get sloppy with it. You get sloppy with it.
Yeah.
In terms
I'll
of
also say with the verticality, I'm not always amazing at hitting like ones above me, and this map,
true.
if it's King's Row, it's so easy to funnel fire
lined it
strikes
up,
down down that choke, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a tougher map.
That is true.
I'm trying to hit a Genji and a Tracer. And a
That's true.
Mercy.
Just hit them easy.
Yeah, my bad.
Toggle on. Yeah, no problem. All right. Going. And if you weren't aware, it's the skipping around that crashes the game. So
Gotcha.
we just have to sit here in 2 times that we can't go backwards. We can't go forward. Like if we miss a play, it's gone.
Oof.
Yeah, so it's a little tragic, but that's okay. We never miss anything. I see you. I see you. I know
sure.
what the intention is. Unironically, this is only good if you're going for the clip, because you're gonna get him off and you're gonna dump him.
Yeah.
Right? So I respect it. But let's be very clear, that is not honest Overwatch, because it's easier for him. It's easier for him to outplay you than it is for you to outplay him. It's nothing to do with high risk, high reward. It's just actually something that most Ryans will be able to outplay.
Totally. Yeah.
Same thing here, right?
Exactly. I mean.
But you know what? If you're doing it for the clip, I respect it. Have fun, you know? Who cares?
It is fine now. Why? Because I am here.
Nice fire strike. Nice fire strike. Okay. I wouldn't give this up. I was gonna say, hold the choke here. Like, remember, they want this space here. So this is also really close for you to hit them with your hammer. So don't give that space up. That kind of sucks. That's one of those situations where you're down one, but they've used some CDs and you guys still have really good space. Like, you could easily trade this, but you gave up space, right?
Yeah. So I can't really close it again. The rest of my team is forced back. I think I hit the funny again.
No,
yeah.
My days.
oh boy.
Oh my days. Oh my days. I found one in the wild. I can't believe it. But you know what? It's never just 1 for 1, because the enemy team's response to that, right? Who tried to help the Rhine? Who chased you? Who shot you? You know,
especially the first time it happened. We got both supports following.
Right.
Obviously, can't go back and see it at this point, but.
Right. It's generally you'll force more of a response than you demand from your team in those circumstances, which is always nice. Okay, I like this. Go top, get close to hit hammer. So we'll slop with the fire strikes. Now you're very locked in here, and so there's like a mind game going here. But I would honestly even be putting my attention to this, or even making sure Sojourn is here.
I remember that happened like right behind me.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah. But not just here. I thought the Sojourn was
that.
here. To be honest with you, I heard Sojourn. I was like, oh, I don't want to give her this angle, right? Like that's kind of your responsibility too.
If she was top right, yeah, that'd get bad clip.
Diff, Ryan diff.
MTD.
Good. That's fine. It's just a question of, just a little more discipline, a little less damage, a little more focused on yourself. I said 2 fights. I want to say one more. I want to see one more in a second. I want to see a second point.
Objective lost. The payload.
I think you need to walk.
I know. I need to be playing that close left corner.
Yeah,
I think.
I think whenever you're playing a Rhine comp, I think you're playing for 2 fights, right? So I think you need to just go ahead and take the corner. If your team doesn't follow up and you got to back off, that's fine. But this is a bit shaky. This is fine,
especially because their Ryan did the right thing. You recommended for me last round, right?
So it means that your damage dealers and supports can't take this angle now. So you guys are kind of at a stalemate on this choke. This is good. I like this from you though. I would keep looking at. Yeah, I was gonna say keep looking at this here.
Right. I'm not ready to move anywhere yet. I'm aware of the shatter.
Yeah, that was good. You won the trade, and so now your DPS get the high ground and theirs don't. So then that means that you guys can shoot cart really easily. This Genji really wants to stage, and he can't, right? So Like, I don't know if I would even be giving this as much attention as you are. I would be peek, go back and peek, go back and peek, go back and... You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, kind of like, all right, who can I hit
Just
next?
make sure no one's sitting in the window.
Right. And then if at some point, if you want to drop to stop cart, that's kind of like your choice.
Right. They kind of chose there because, everyone kind of funneled down main. There weren't really any people looking for window at that point. But actually, no.
Yeah,
Someone's up there.
As soon as he left, yeah. As soon as
they
he
dropped.
left. As
She
soon
takes
as he
that
leaves.
space.
Now, again, I'm not saying that's always bad, because if you were thinking, okay, we have to stop cart because if we don't, they're going to get one fight win. But I think I want to point something out. What was the status of that Ryan shield when he was trying to push cart? Until right before you dropped, right as you dropped.
I actually don't even remember. I think it was. Okay. It must have been low, right?
It was completely broken, like almost completely broken, like 100 HP broken, because you guys had held positions, and so he had to be basically the punching bag on point, right?
Right.
So ironically, now you drop to push your advantage and give it up. I think it was. I don't think he could have pushed cart more.
No, right. He did the smart thing. He backed out, went to cover.
Right. So I guess that's my point. So we're worried a little bit about the objective, but I actually don't think that they could have gone any further. I think that was as far as they could push. It's just one of those little things that you could consider where it's like, okay, I want us to have two fights here, but if we hold good space, can we actually shoot cart? Can we punish cart? Now, if your team ignores cart and you have to just kind of stand there and stop it, I get it. But I don't think that was one of those moments. All right, let's see it. Wow, that was a nice little pin from you. I was surprised he counterpinned that.
I know. I think he must have been watching.
I like it. Love the old payload trick. They never see it coming.
Never see it coming.
And by they, I mean me. I always get shattered by it. So, yeah, good stuff. EMP is probably... I mean, she felt like you were going to lose. So, yeah, okay. Goals. Sigma, really simple. The push, we'll say push-pull of resources, not just man advantage. Either decisive, aggressive push when down as desperation, or giving a bit of space until you regen resources, men, essentially. Okay.
Gotcha.
A lot of micro matchup stuff, most of which I think you're probably pretty much aware of. Reinhardt, more deliberation, intention. We'll say more deliberate intention with fire strikes.
Okay.
And how would you frame what we talked about, whether it was forcing card or clearing top? How would you frame it?
In terms of Ryan in that last game specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, trying to, at least thinking of that first round and a little bit that last fight, second round, just being aware of when I have to be the person on cart and, when I don't have to be doing anything, right? Whenever I can just kind of, take the space that's already available to me, which otherwise, might be controlled by enemy DPS. You can just, if it's already available, I can ensure it's available for mine. I don't know. I mean, we obviously covered a few different points. But
okay. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that was mostly it. I mean, most of the others, this goofiness was mostly just.
Yeah, I mean,
again, you want to play for the clip, but honestly, I don't care about that stuff. I don't. I like to see it. Honestly, it's fun to see sometimes.
I